Okay, great.
All right. Sorry for the late start. We were waiting on Brian. It's totally Brian's fault. I blame him for all the things. It's not that I was completely late or anything.
Everyone else was here at like 5 o'clock.
Yeah, no, it's totally. I wasn't making a late dinner or trying to get shop stuff done at all. So, anyway, this is Star Trek Europa. This week's episode should be pretty fun, I hope. Let's go ahead and introduce the people that we do have. Brian, go ahead and start.
Hi, I'm Brian. I'm playing Captain Jorad Hage, and I have nothing to plug.
Evelyn.
I'm Evelyn Corbin. I'm playing Dr. Dasavi Onayet, and I also have nothing to plug.
Jack, with all your things.
Yes, hello, I am Jack. I do have all of the things compared to everybody else. And all of those things basically is I have my own Twitch channel over on twitch.tv/The People's Ascension, where I do a Dungeons and Dragons campaign series every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern, as well as various hangout shows throughout the week if you like Let's Plays and world building and generally hanging out and chatting. So go check me out there. I'm on all the time. As for right here, I am excited to get back into the Star Trek universe. I will be playing Commander Orani Ambrose, currently on kind of, maybe sort of, still, I don't know, medical leave of some kind, as well as other characters, of course.
Awesome. And I am your host, as always, Jeff Harvey, and this is my channel. You can check out this show. We also have STA Engage, which apparently didn't upload the other day, even though it was supposed to. As well as I've been picked up Blood Bowl, and I'll be running some Blood Bowl shows fairly soon. That'll be fun. If anybody likes Blood Bowl, we'll be doing a lot of that. And now that the shop is on its process of being reopened, we will have some shop content coming soon as well, which may or may not include board games and live Magic the Gathering stuff. So, yeah, at the behest of Jack, I did get an AnyTree account, so I will put a link somewhere at some point to all the things. Otherwise, check us out at studiotempo.com. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to forego the normal recap because I want to jump directly into things this morning or this afternoon. It's quite actually late in the afternoon here.
This evening.
This evening. And good night. All right, no. So, let's start off. The acrid smoke fills the bridge, the only light coming from the small fires and the red flashing alert strips. Captain Hage lies on the deck in front of the command platform, a Klingon Tang plunged deep into his chest. His murderer is motionless, killed by the captain in his last gasp. Ambrose's body is sprawled out behind the tactical station, his severed mechanical arm still holding the batleth he wrenched away from the warriors slaughtering the officers that once sat at the science and engineering stations. His face a ghastly pale, shrapnel jutting from his neck and head. You didn't even see him go down. The world is spinning all around you, sounds too distant to hear, the taste of copper in your lips, the jarring motion of the deck and the brilliant showers of sparks raining down. It reminds you of being on the deck of the cadet ship in San Francisco Bay during graduation. The motion of the water, the fireworks, a rousing song on the wind. No, not a song, a voice. Commander Onette, Commander, what do we do? Is that Tong? Suddenly, reality comes rushing back to you. The smoke burns your eyes. The sickly sweet smells fill your nose. Commander, the Lek Bortos is cloaking. I've lost contact. 2 more birds of prey decloaking off the star aft. After the aft star, the world sharply cuts away as the ship rocks and from weapons fire. Shields down. Hull at 20%. We can't take another hit. You look out the view screen, trying to make out what you can see through the cracks in the screen and the static lines. You see 2 Klingon ships leveling off. It's almost majestic, like birds in flight. The bright golden orange of their torpedoes growing ever larger. The bright flash of white surrounds you for a brief second, and then it's all over. The bridge, the smoke, the smell of burnt flesh, the horror replaced with the glowing yellow grid lines of inlaid in black. The chilling quiet only broken by the holodeck doors opening as Captain Hage enters. You sense his presence, but you struggle to focus on his emotions.
Well, that could have gone better.
Understatement of the year.
I'm not going to lie, Dasavi, that was rough. That was no Kobayashi Maru. I can't lie and said there wasn't a way you could handle it. But I'm going to send you.
I'd rather go back through the Kobayashi.
You'd rather go back to the what?
To the Kobayashi Maru.
Well, I can make that happen, but I think right now you should focus on this disaster, and we'll move on to the next one. I'll go ahead and write up a report about things I saw that you could have done better. Where's your head at, Dasavi?
We're a science ship. We're not meant for war, and I'm not meant for the front line. I'm supposed to be behind the scenes, fixing the soldiers up and getting them back out there, not leading the charge.
Ideally, yes. You're right. This is a science ship, and ideally, that's all we would be doing. But as much as this ship is as the Federation's first line of defense, we're its first line of defense in terms of crew. And if something happens to Ambrose and I, that we need somebody, we need the calmest head on their shoulders. And I think everybody in the crew would agree that that's you.
Calm, sure. Tactical, less so.
The calm you
Calm
can never
doesn't do us
teach.
a whole hell of a lot of good if I don't know what I'm doing.
Calm is something you can't teach. Tactics are, which is why we're doing these.
I suppose.
Well, there were good things I saw too, and I'll make sure to include those in my report so you know what to review. Do you want to go again, just to give it another shot?
Want to? Not really, but should, I suppose.
Holodeck, please restart the program at time code 2349.
The holodeck resets.
And he reaches over and pats the shoulder of his hologram, and I'll leave you in his capable hands. And then he steps out of the arch.
Right. Computer begins the simulation, and we go ahead and do the intro roll.
Captain's log 53968.4. 4 lifetimes have taught me war is never easy. After we fought the Dominion War 2 long years ago, and then before that, we fought the 6 months fighting the Klingons. And what have we gained from either of those? Just another conflict with the Klingons, I guess. Starfleet refuses to call a war, but they have the sector on high alert, and there's been several skirmishes with Duras and Varnak. Unfortunately, the Federation has unofficially, the Federation has sided with Chancellor Martok. But this is an internal matter, so any actions taken by Duras and Varnak in the Expanse are considered hostile actions by our Federation or allies. And so far, it's a war without paperwork, I suppose. Fortunately, many of the run-ins Starfleet has had with the Klingons in the Expanse have so far just been skirmishes. But if I know General Kargan, he's biding his time. And with his experience in the war and his time spent in the officer exchange program aboard the Enterprise, he's a dangerous opponent. For now, the Europa is headed to a truly strange new world. The Laramarians have reached out to the Federation and requested a formal first contact. From what little Starfleet has been able to gather, they are a silicon-based species that lives deep beneath their world's oceans. We should be arriving at the homeworld shortly.
It's been a couple of, probably a week or so since dropping off Cass. The conflicts that have been happening in the system have been sporadic, mostly with the other ships in the fleet. Officially, Starfleet has not declared war on the Duras and the Varnak, but unofficially in the sector, as the captain has pointed out, the Federation is protecting its interests in this area, and it is allied with the House of Martok and the official Klingon government. So while they are not interfering in Klingon space, there is definitely a hot conflict here, a police action, if you will. Any Duras or Varnak ships are to be considered hostile. Other than that, the Europa is again on its way to the Lamarian homeworld. It's a hard word to say, and I wrote it.
Spell that for me.
It is spelled, let me get it for sure off my form, Larimaran. To give you a quick overview of what you are seeing, mostly Martok and his loyalists that are in the area, the government in exile, as it were, and the Federation have been pushing back to some of the rim worlds of the where the Klingon Empire contacts the Expanse. A couple of Federation starships have also headed that way from your fleet sector, your fleet group. I'll get the words right. And while we are awaiting the arrival of some additional assistance in the sector, that largely being more defensive craft as well as offensive vessels, like small craft, offensive small craft. I forgot where I was going with that. Whilst awaiting those things, the Europa is reaching out to the Lamarians again, which are not too far from the Klingon border. They are to the southern wing of the Expanse.
So it might be a good idea tactically to get them on our side too.
At least to keep them out of things, if nothing else. They are a somewhat advanced species. Although you've not encountered any of their ships, they reached out directly from their homeworld. So, other than that, we do not have the fighters aboard yet, but there has been talk of Starfleet assigning some Peregrine Class 2 fighters to the station, or to the Europa. We will yet to see if that has happened. We will yet to see if that happens. But
can I start with that in character?
Yeah.
We just got a report from Starfleet Command. They've authorized a couple Peregrine fighters to be delivered to bolster our defenses a bit. Ambrose, do you think you can set up some kind of fighter detachment?
I believe we have somebody on board who is entirely capable of handling that.
Perfect. I'll trust that to your capable hands then. Dr. Oniat, how is crew morale? I know everybody's shaken up because of the outbreak. I bet I'm willing to bet everybody's shaken up because of the outbreak. But how would you say everybody's doing?
They're scared, as to be expected. I don't think this was what anyone had in mind when they were assigned to the Europa. Mostly, I think they're handling things well. the loss of the crew that was reassigned to Narendra is definitely felt. But people are stepping into the gaps.
I hope the both of you can keep me appraised in that field. I'm the only one in this room who doesn't know what everybody's feeling all the time.
Did we take new crew on from Narendra when we left crew at Narendra?
I don't think
so.
No.
Okay.
No, you will be getting replacement crew once the resupply train comes in. But so far you are just down some crew members.
But besides Cass, how much are we down? Because we're running on a skeleton crew as it is.
You're down a chief science officer, one or two flight officers, a couple of security, and like a couple engineers. It's not significant.
Okay, all right.
No. We need to talk about filling some roles in Cass's absence and everybody else, just temporarily while they're attached. Does anybody have anybody they think would be particularly apt for this to fill the science position?
Not off the top of my head. I don't really want to sacrifice any more of the medical crew without Dr. Marr. I'm more leery than I was of a potential attack and the med crew's response.
Understandable. What about Ensign O'Connor? Do you think she would fill the role?
I think she's far too green. Isn't she just out of academy?
For a permanent position, most definitely, but temporarily, I don't see unless either of you can think of anybody who would fill the role better. I think she might be our best bet.
It's either her or Ensign Cherka. Both of them. Can we just install a second chair and sit them both down?
I think I'd trust O'Connor more in this role. Chierka she has a nervous quality about her.
I'd like to break her of that.
Well, in any
because
case,
if we can get through that, I think she's the superior officer candidate. If we can break her of that,
I'd have to agree. O'Connor hasn't really done much to set herself apart.
Well, maybe this would be a good opportunity for her to do so.
We should put them up. We should put both of them up probationally. Have them fill the position on a rotating schedule. See who excels.
That's a good idea. All right, I'll leave that scheduling to you. And then to fill the chief flight operations, who do you think would best serve that role?
That was previously Falks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we do have a few different pilots on board. I know if we're taking on a Peregrine wing, Shajin would be best suited for that. She is definitely more small craft. Unfortunately, I don't know much more about Silva.
Well, I think it's probably best if we get the Peregrine wing practicing even before we get the fighters. So if somebody's going to be assigned some new duties, I think it should be somebody who's not going to be on the wing. So Lieutenant Silva it is then?
I'd say so.
Excellent. I've been going over the old War College papers about Klingon strategies. The thing that worries me most is their cloaked hit and run attacks. We've already seen a couple examples of that so far. I think perhaps the Europa is best served as a reconnaissance craft, long range, of course. Our powerful sensors might be able to tell us when Klingon ships are coming, so that way beefier ships would be able to intercept them.
The Dominion War did teach us a lot about cloaking technology. how to use it and how to detect it.
Can we begin? We know a lot more about cloaking devices since then. Even why don't we begin refitting our sensors and calibrating them to detect Klingon cloaks? Might give us an edge if it comes to it.
I think that's a good idea, as long as we're aware that that might make it more difficult to detect different kinds of cloaks. The Romulans take an opportunity, and we're focused on Klingon cloaks. We may never see them coming.
Seems worth the risk in my case, since we know the Klingons are gunning for us.
What's the likelihood the Romulans would take the opportunity? You have a tenuous peace-ish with them.
I think as long as we stay towards Klingon territory affairs, it shouldn't be an issue. I simply wanted to bring it up.
No, it's a good point, but I think the risk is minimal and worth it. All right. Well, I can take this one personally. I know a bit about. I would be shocked if anybody on the ship knows the Europa sensors as well as I do, and you all know I like to get my hands dirty on occasion.
All yours.
All right. Well, I want to keep this room restricted to only senior officers. So that means three of us, Lieutenant Costra, the three of us and Lieutenant Costra. There's no need. We should keep sensitive information here. Lieutenant Ambrose, can you ensure we have a?
Excuse me?
I'm sorry.
Did I get a demotion at some point, sir?
Commander Ambrose, could you have a personnel stationed outside the store to make sure that the sensitive information is guarded? Klingons have been known to use infiltrators in the past.
Of course. I can think of a few different automated security features we can add as well. Another area of technology that excelled during the Dominion War.
Perfect. I'll leave that in your hands. Well then, I think we all have duties to go about.
Okay.
So I think that's a good place to wrap up that scene.
All right.
I suppose I have to wear this now.
What is it?
My fake comm badge.
Oh.
Since apparently I'm back on duty, because we kind of just glossed over that.
I thought you maybe
we discussed it last time at the near the end of the last session.
Yeah, I mean, discussed as far as okay, you're back on, right?
Right.
Well, you took the badge.
War. You do war.
It was kind of rough and kind of vague,
yeah.
But you know.
Well, then maybe you should express your concerns to the captain, or maybe the captain can notice you looking concerned, and we can talk about it.
Oh, he was definitely a little distant during that meeting.
Okay, it's hard to tell out of character about that kind of thing, but I can. Commander Ambrose, if you could hang back a moment.
Sir?
I've noticed you being a little distant at the meeting. How are you handling being back on duty?
It's where I belong.
Do you feel like you're an ensign filling a bridge officer post, so to speak?
No, I feel like I stepped away because I was in an unfamiliar environment, and then suddenly I'm back in a familiar environment, and it's a quick transition. I'm fine being where I am. I enjoy my job. I like what I do, and I think I'm needed here.
You are.
I don't know a better way to say this, but I'm fighting back. I think I'm in the situation that I always expected to be in, and nobody else believed me. And that was the problem. And now that I'm right, we all forget there was a problem.
The problem of you being ignored. If you want the chance to say I told you so, take it now.
That's not what I want.
I'm a bit confused what you want.
I guess I don't know.
Well, we have a myriad of counselors on board, and I hope they can help you figure it out. And if there's anything I need to do to help make sure you can fulfill your duties to their fullest extent, let me know.
I don't think that will be a problem, sir.
Excellent. And then he'll walk out of the room.
I'm gonna hang back for a little bit, just going over, debriefs and whatnot, and I'll probably pull out a tricorder and start scanning the room and tapping away on things, working on ideas, because he's not really an engineer, but ideas for these security measures
Right.
that I want to install.
Okay. What else you guys got? I know Hage, you were going to go work on the sensor suite.
Yeah, I would love to come up with like a scanning regimen that's designed to catch birds of prey, specifically.
Sure.
I mean, we can be generous and say all Klingon if you want, but like, I think he's trying to look for the specific Klingon hit and run tactics that he is expecting out of them. So
right.
I would like to set up a scanning regimen that is calibrated towards those attacks.
Okay.
Is that something that O'Connor could help with computer analysis systems?
Sure.
Yeah.
I will say that you guys have not had a lot of time to get feedback on the new Klingon ships that you've seen, but you can certainly you have extensive knowledge of the Klingon ships that are primarily in use in the Klingon Empire, and no doubt, given the circumstances, Martok and his people would be more than happy to send any additional information you would require, as long as that information might be shared, the changes you make might be shared.
Wouldn't we also have a good bit of information regarding Kargan's forces, since they were stationed at Miranda?
Yes, he has pretty much standard ships.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the newer ships that you hadn't seen. You really don't have much feedback on, which you haven't seen many of. But
and then we get a scan of the fancy new ship.
Martox, you got a scan of the other one, but I mean that is a simple scan isn't going to give you the technical readouts of their cloaking device, if it's changed at all.
So, do you want us to do a roll on this, or?
Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and do I'm gonna say difficulty of 4. We won't make it an extended task. We'll just do a difficulty 4 to gain advantage on hunter killer actions against Klingon birds of prey.
I'm trying to figure out what in the world it is I'm missing. I didn't open Fantasy Grounds.
Oh,
I haven't been using Fantasy Grounds so far anyways. It's just been kind of sitting there at the moment. I've been looking for a picture that I have in my document for the Laramarian race, but I didn't apparently save anywhere to show you guys. And I can't remember for the life of me where I got the picture from, because I got it like a month before we started playing the game.
In
Wow.
there.
That's been a while.
Yeah. Yeah, this was the first race I created, so.
I don't think any of my focuses would apply here. Although I do a plan of action. But that really only applies after I've planned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you want to flip it and have O'Connor do the main role and you assist?
Yeah.
Since I do have a focus on this?
Yeah, that sounds like a plan.
Okay.
And I can assist with command since I'm leading the team.
Yeah.
We can assume, I would assume there are other people on it too, that we don't have.
Right, yeah. I'm sure there's a team of engineers and whatnot.
But I like the idea of, I would love to do actually a small scene with O'Connor and Hage as they're working on this too.
Sure.
She is super nervous. I think this is probably the first time that O'Connor and Hage have interacted.
Oh wait,
Might be outside of some like initial briefings. It might be out the first time that they've been in a room together.
I succeeded on a command on an assist. So
go reason and science.
Sure.
Okay. All right, that is a 15.
So is that 3 successes total?
No, that is actually 1 success. Sorry, because that's not.
Gotcha. Right, that's not your right character, right?
Yeah, well, so I wasn't thinking about the focus piece of it. I was just looking for 2 numbers that came up to 15, and Dasavi doesn't have an 11 in any of her attributes. But yeah, so that doesn't actually roll under my focus, so it's just 1 success.
Okay. So 1 and 1. The ship can also roll, which I will go ahead and do.
Okay.
Put this over here. Click the roll button. 2, which is 2 successes.
Yep.
So that is 4 successes.
Awesome. So we're calibrating it, and you said that O'Connor was nervous working around the captain.
Oh yeah, like she's getting her work done, but she very like you get the. You don't have to be an empath to get the impression that she just really would like to shrink into herself and not be seen.
I think he's going to make an extra effort to make her feel like she's contributing and like that, and that, her input is important. That's one of his values, so he's going to ask her opinion on, things and listen, take that feedback, that's her suggestions into account as they're working.
She looks a little taken aback, and when she responds initially, she kind of stutters a little bit, and as time goes on, she gets a little more comfortable, but never fully like at ease.
Okay.
Did you guys want to have any actual like interaction?
Yeah, I'm trying to think what we should be talking about. Maybe after they've maybe they're up in the sensor domes, and he'll say, without a dedicated science officer, we're going to need both you and Ensign Cherka to step up and take a heightened role in the science department.
I'm happy to help, sir, but I think Cherka might be the better choice. She seems to have more experience.
According to her jacket, this is the first mission she's ever gone on.
Sure, but she's done all of these away missions and the incident on the S9, and I've just mostly stayed here and tinkered about and stayed in the library.
Well, look at it this way. Do you want an opportunity to show what you're capable of?
I'd really be content to stay in my arboretum. But I'll go where I'm needed.
Well, I appreciate you stretching yourself like that. Well, you did good work today. I think this new scanning regimen is going to help us in the long run. I'll be sure and note that to the record. I do want you to know I think you're a very capable officer, and I look forward to seeing everything you have to offer.
She blushes a little bit. Thank you, sir.
Ensign, and then he departs.
Okay. You did get all 4, so I'm not going to put a penalty on being able to find other ships at the moment, other types of things.
Okay.
There's 3 of you. Sorry, I didn't adjust our momentum and such for the morning, so yeah. I just did. Yeah, that's correct. All right, what else you guys got? Anything? Oh, hey, that was the wrong direction for that to go.
I would love to see a lower deck scene. Maybe something with Shajin. Like, now that she knows she's going to be in a pilot, what's her reaction to that? That she's going to be like piloting an actual fighter.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what I could do with Shajin, but really she doesn't have anyone else to populate the scene with, and I can't just have Ambrose talking to Shajin.
Right.
I mean, I can, but I'd rather not.
I say she could go talk to Silva.
Yeah, Silva or Delphine. We just wanted to see more with them, those two.
And I think if we just want to brush over this narratively, there would be a meeting between her and Ambrose about getting these fighters in and setting up a
training regiment.
Yeah, a training regiment, a holodeck program for simulating the fighter craft before we actually get them.
Yeah, but you role play with yourself as lame.
Yeah. But I'm just saying it that happens.
Yeah.
And yeah, none of you guys have pilot characters for us to do like a wing commander scene or anything, but I assume she's spending most of her time, putting together this wing and going through flight exercises and whatnot.
Would she like go brag to Silva about being put on such a prestigious position? Would she?
No.
Would she go talk to Delphine and like tell her?
Do they have an established rapport?
I don't.
They talked a little, and remember, we talked about. Oh wait,
no. That's right. Was it? I was thinking it was Silva and Shajin, but was it Delphine and Shajin?
Yeah, they flirted a little.
Yeah.
And talked about going to the holodeck.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's who I was thinking of. I was thinking it was Silva, but yeah.
Yeah. We established that Shajin and Silva had a rivalry relationship, and I'd love to do something with that. So like her bragging about that would be cool.
Or if Silva catches wind of it and
yeah, I think that's more
of a offer her congratulations.
I feel like Silva's more invested in the rivalry than Shajin really is.
What kind of relationship does Shajin want? I feel like we haven't gotten much Shajin's personal personality. I would love to see something from her.
You can always have her in the lounge and then anyone can approach.
Yeah,
maybe-
I mean that's what I was thinking. After a very extensive day of training and simulations and whatnot, she'd probably just go to whatever our equipment of 10 forward equivalent of 10 forward is and hang out for a little bit.
Okay. What if Koba and Mills go up to talk to her?
Sure.
Does that sound good to you, Evelyn?
Fine.
Okay. So Koba is going to go sit at the bar next to her, and he's going to be like, you look like you have just ran laps around the saucer section.
I don't do a lot of running.
Well, it shows. I heard you got pulled from the
She
shuttle.
gives him a look like, what is that supposed to mean?
Mills kind of shoots him a symbol like, dude, you can't say that, look.
I think he misheard. I think he heard you
I-
say, "I do a lot of running," not "I don't do a lot of running."
Oh, yeah, that's what I did.
Oh, that's what I heard too. Either way, it still sounds like you're looking a little rough there.
Yeah, look, I'm just saying, you're supposed to. You're off duty. It might help if you let yourself live a little.
Got a drink, don't I?
It's not officially after hours until you've had 2 drinks.
It's after hours as soon as my hair comes down. Drinks or no.
Well, true. Lieutenant Shijin, put that hair down.
She slams a drink back and just kind of waves the cup over at Teketh.
He slides her another.
You know
No,
what?
Kobe, you don't want the Andorians to get too loose. That's how fights get started.
Good point. When was is that true, Jashin? Jissa? How many people have you stabbed at parties?
Stabbed? Not for a while.
That's ominous. So, how long is a while in your world? I can promise you I haven't stabbed anybody at any parties. I punched a guy once, but that's neither here nor there.
You're going to some boring parties.
Look, bullying parties are renowned for their lack of boringness. Just not known for their fighting, you know. They used to go. I was the life of the party back on Bolia.
I get the feeling you're the life of the party wherever you go, whether people want it or not.
Fiona, that's the nicest thing I think you've ever said to me. What about you? Do you go to many parties, Fiona?
Here and there.
Do humans fight at parties? I don't know what humans do. Y'all are weird.
Humans do a lot of things. The best party starts with a little drinking, you throw a few fights in the middle, and ends, well,
I heard
let
of
you figure that out.
You know what? I heard of a unique human custom called a hootenanny. Have you ever been to a hootenanny?
I can't say that I have.
Is that
Humans
just
have some weird words.
Is that just a stereotype? I don't know. I've never been to Earth. Well, at Starfleet Academy, but that was it. Didn't have any hootenannies on Starfleet Academy.
I think that might be more of an older thing.
Maybe. Disappointing. So what are you looking? So I heard they got you on some secret new duty, Jessa. What do they got you doing now?
Is this a secret new duty? I guess if it's a secret new duty, I can't tell you.
Damn it, you're right.
I can assure you it's not running around the saucer section.
Well, fair enough.
You gotta learn some subtlety if you want to weasel the information out of people.
Look, my mom always said subtlety is for cowards.
It has its places. Like most places.
This is why I'm not going into Starfleet intelligence. I'm not good at it.
That's fair.
I wish we had a telepath in this scene.
I'm not sure where else to go with this scene. Does anybody have anything else they would like to do? Jiss is not opening up. I was hoping Jiss would tell people about the piloting thing, but
yeah.
she's not going to mention it.
And then you went and called it secret.
Look. I was being I was being sarcastic for him. I didn't think it was the other one. Secret.
Yep.
I'm trying to decide if Mills, as being sort of looked at for the security officer position, might know about it, and if she can just like tease Koba a little bit with information that she has that he doesn't.
Would either of you be able to read Andorian body language?
Probably.
Do either of you have any background in antenna wiggles?
Antenna.
After the
I
session,
specialized in antenna wiggling in academy.
after the session, I'm giving Koba the value of subtlety is for cowards. So
Sure.
Nope, the closest Mills has is hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah. That's pretty close.
Right. I mean, it's the Andorian love language.
Yeah. Okay. If nobody else has anything else for the scene, we will move on. We will jump ahead.
It's a scene I would like to see built on, but I don't think it's jump starting anywhere just yet.
Sure.
Okay. All right.
In the meantime, whilst all of that is a happenings, how about Teketh?
Yeah.
Teketh, give me an insight and security roll
Where is
with a focus in espionage.
Okay. Insight security?
Yeah.
Insight and
By the way, I would 100% set up a secret
Pretty
room that had
straight.
all of our secrets just for Teketh.
what's that?
I totally set up a secret room that has all the secrets just for Teketh.
Nice. Teketh is not feeling very espionage today, apparently.
Not much going on in 10 forward or in 4 forward today that is going to help Teketh out.
No.
All right.
I don't know why my
Duly
insight's
noted.
so low, though. That's kind of stupid.
What's that?
I said, I don't know why my insight's so low. That's kind of stupid. I probably should have flipped my insight and my reason. Oh, well. Whatever.
You're not a very good spy.
That's why they sent the other one to check up on me.
All right. If nobody else has any other scenes immediately that they want to do.
I do have one. It doesn't need to be immediately, but I do want to go see. I want to have Dasavi go see Kostra.
Okay.
Sure. I'm up for that whenever.
Okay. So she'll go down to engineering.
Okay.
Lieutenant, right?
Yes.
Yes. Make sure I'm not demoting people.
Unlike our captain.
I have a question. I don't know if it's possible.
Unless the answer is what's the quickest way out of my engineering room? I've got to get back to work, Doctor. What?
Well, I pose an interesting engineering puzzle for you.
I like puzzles.
I want to find a way to amplify the beta said empathy to give a wider range.
Can't say I know much about Beta Z empathies. He runs his hand over his luscious beard. Yeah, exactly. I suppose you could create a harmonic resonance and maybe through some kind of capacitor. What exactly do you need it for?
I'm hoping to be able to use one of the things that empathy comes in handy for sometimes is sensing someone's presence. So I wouldn't necessarily need to hone it so strongly that I could tell what they were feeling necessarily, but strong enough that I could tell if someone was in the area that didn't belong there, someone who perhaps was in a cloaked ship.
I gotcha. Chasing ghosts. I dig it. Well, I'm pretty busy with all of this, and he waves to the engine core. But he says, I'll see what I can do. Might be able to create some kind of device that gives you a little bit of a boost.
Let me know what you come up with. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Doctor.
That you will leave.
As an aside, I can't help but think Kostra is like the bastard love child of like early 2000s James Hetfield and Guy Fieri. I don't know why that is. I just, every time I see Kostra, all I think of is that.
I can buy it.
Fantastic.
All right. Anybody else got anything? Also, that's the first time I think we've seen men engineering.
Mm-mm.
No?
It's come up a couple times, but
Has it?
Yeah.
We haven't had it as a big set piece, I guess.
Nope. Nobody else got anything?
Would love to see something with Yezebeth, but I do not have anything specific.
We could do
I would love a scene between Daphne and Jissa. But I
Well,
would love to see a scene
we also do have an entire first contact thing we have to set up. So
look, I know look. I told you if it's ever a question of can I fill 3 hours with bullshit, the answer is yes, I can. So, yeah, no, we can totally get the plot stuff if you'd like.
it's not heavy plot stuff. It's just, something in the background to help drive things forward. So
yeah, no, let's do it. Let's get this.
I think I personally need direction back into the game because it's been so long since we played. I don't remember or have any context as to where my characters are at.
Right.
a little bit the same.
Okay.
So.
That's why I did some story stuff. All right. So on the bridge, we've got Hage, and somewhere around here, I think I have an Ambrose. Really, the main cast of people. Let's see. That's NPCs. I don't want that. Also not the button I'm looking for. And then let's say that for the moment, O'Connor is at the science station, taking her science duty rotation, because it just gets her on the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Ambrose is way over there. Get your face out from behind stuff, Ambrose.
And then
there you go.
Maybe Silva's at the helm.
Sure. Not a high priority at the moment.
No, just figured I'd mention it.
Yep. Put her over here somewhere. Hiding behind these things, just right there.
Okay.
Just the eyes. All right. So you arrive in system. What you detect as you're going through, you can give me whoever's at science, which is O'Connor. Give me a reason and science roll to get a basic scan of the system. Difficulty is 0.
Reason and 2.
2 successes. So that is 2 questions or 2 momentum. What you get is first of all the world, the main world. There are other smaller worlds, but there's only one clearly inhabited world. Is covered primarily in water. It is probably 95% water. The oceans are fairly deep. In many places, they are thousands and thousands of feet deep, quite a bit deeper in some places than even Earth's oceans. The land masses are almost all fairly low. If there was any significant meltage of the ice caps, it would be a 100% water planet. The structures that exist on land appear to be made of stone and coral. The system itself is quite warm, and the sun that is there is a quite hot sun, a red, I think is the hot. I didn't write down what it was, but it's a hot system. There are several space platforms that appear to be armed. They're not as big as what Starfleet would consider a star base, but they're bigger than what Starfleet would consider a weapons platform. And they are heavily armed. However, they are not in any way acting aggressively. There are no ships in the system. So you have two questions, or you can just save them for momentum.
Maybe can we establish what the general population of the planet is?
Sure. Let's see. The general population of the planet is around 45,000.
Oh, so not many at all.
Nope.
Do there seem to be signs of a extinction event? Anything like that?
Nope.
Okay.
And this is their main world?
This is their main world. You are detecting large settlements, relatively large settlements, deep in the ocean, around 4,000 to 6,000 feet below the surface.
You said 45,000.
45,000 people. Yes, that's it. That's correct. A not huge number.
I suppose it's possible if their DNA is particularly mutable, and
there is also a great deal of life in the sea, but as far as what the Lemurians told you to look for, you are detecting about 45,000 of them.
What is this world called?
What did I name the world? That's a good question.
Did we use both of our questions? I did ask a couple questions.
I'm going to say no. I don't think you did. Okay. Lemuria is the name of the world. Larimaria. It's a hard word to pronounce.
And then maybe the other one should be, do those defensive platforms look like they are...
sorry. It's Larimar. Larimar. I did have that there. Okay. Sorry, go ahead with the defense platforms. Do they what?
Do they have the range to attack ships in orbit?
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know.
They have the range to attack ships out of system. They are very long range. Yes.
Oh. Okay.
And
directed energy or
ballistic? They are directed plasma weapons. Yes.
And they can attack outside of their own solar system. Is that drastically superior offensive technology to what we have?
It's, I wouldn't say drastically superior, but for a plasma weapon, it is quite impressive, because most plasma weapons, the Romulans stopped using plasma weapons because their range was fairly limited.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty impressive piece of technology. It's not something that would be out of the means of Starfleet to be able to do. It would just, it would take considerable amounts of labor to build these things.
Okay.
Hage will be leaning over the console, looking at the specs of the laser, and he'll turn to Ambrose, and he'll say, if we could get those on the border worlds with the Klingon Empire, it would be a pretty formidable defense.
It would take a while to build, but yes, a very impressive system they have here.
Well, let's make sure we make friends. Hail the planet.
On the screen appears a person of descript. Basically, what you see is a rock figure with eyes and facial structure, mostly resemblant of humanoid, although its nose is quite flat, and where hair would be appears to be, again, sculpted rock going back. Greetings, Europa. My name is Kalasar Alikin. Welcome to our world.
Thank you for your hospitality. I'm Jorad Hage of the USS Europa on behalf of the United Federation of Planets.
On behalf of the entirety of Laramarian society, we welcome you. We invite you to come to our world, come down to our capital city, and spend some time. However, I am not certain of your anatomy, if you would be able to survive the pressure.
Well, if you could transmit we're rather frail as far as all things considered. Do you have any accommodations for humanoid visitors?
We have some surface accommodations for more delicate species.
I think it's safe to say we fit that category. Perhaps you could give us coordinates, and we would be happy to beam down on a landing party to establish diplomatic relations.
This is acceptable. And he kind of waves off camera, and a transmission arrives with some coordinates for landing.
Did we get this person's title?
Kalasar.
Kalasar is a title, not a name.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. That was going to be described more effectively conveyed later.
Okay.
But
And their actual name was Alikin, is that right?
Alikin, yeah.
Okay.
Captain Kalasar, if I may, we may be able to refit a runabout to withstand those pressures.
An interesting thought, but then we just have to meet them in the runabout. And
We'd at least be able to explore their city.
True.
Might be able to create some sort of fortification for an exosuit, but that may take longer. We'd have to fabricate it from scratch.
Right. Well, maybe we can have some people work on it on the ship while another party goes down to the surface areas. Let's assemble a team. I think perhaps I think we have a xenoanthropologist. Do we not? I think maybe she'd be helpful during this kind of mission.
I believe we do.
Excellent. I'll be happy to go down to help establish diplomatic relations. And then Delphine, or not Delphine, Desavi. I'd be happy to have your counsel get a read on. I'd be happy to have your empathic abilities on a mission like this.
Yes, sir.
Out of character, does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Good by me.
Okay.
Galasar, if I may, I hope I am not out of bounds in my request to see what your security provisions will be for this meeting.
I do not understand your request. There is no risk of harm coming to anyone from the Lemurians, and we are not concerned of any threat from the Federation. Other than wildlife, you should be safe.
I forget, because there's not a lot of empaths in thinking back to TNG, can I get an empathic read from this guy from a view screen?
Should be able to.
I think so.
Normally you would be able to. However, you do not
But
get
not
one
this
from
guy.
him.
Cool.
Yep.
Oh.
Cool.
Do I get a read from this guy
You do not.
with the stronger? Okay.
they have a special. They have a thing essentially that makes them, because their anatomy is so decidedly different and alien.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, silicone based. They have weird brains.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
I don't think it's really my wheelhouse, but can I do a more like mundane insight of this guy? Read body
Sure.
language and whatnot. I know I don't have anything to compare to, so
Sure.
probably not great.
Also, the difficulty, because you have nothing else to compare to, also the difficulty is 3. They're still humanoids.
Yeah.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
they're still actors in rubber suits. I mean,
Insight security.
Yeah.
Cool.
Or command. I would also take command.
Okay. It's been so long, I forget how this game works. Okay, so that is I need lower than 13. We'll just see what happens. I'm not gonna pump this up too much. Okay. That's only 2 successes.
Okay.
So I don't get it.
You don't
So
get a clear reading, but you generally don't detect any like hostile or aggressive posturing that you would see from most creatures. If you ever had experience with hortas, they don't really seem to be as aggressive as even a horta at the moment.
They're the weird magma slugs, right?
Correct. The only other
Yeah.
silicone-based life form that Starfleet has ever encountered,
Aren't the
as far as I'm aware.
No, the Tholians, they're silicone, aren't they?
Are they? They might be.
I
You're
think
right.
they're silicone. Yeah.
I think you're right. They might be. Right.
But we don't know much about them either.
Right.
Okay, so I will simply continue. The Laramarians are very trusting people. I hope that we can live up to that trust.
That's always a good start for any first contact.
We will see you on the surface. Well, yeah, you were going to the surface, right? That was the idea.
Mm-hmm.
Or okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you guys want to do before you head down to the surface?
We should probably be bringing a couple red shirts with us just to make Ambrose happy.
Actually, no. Let's play that conversation out. As soon as the view screen is cut off, the comm is ended. I'm going to turn to who is at science now? O'Connor.
Mm-hmm.
O'Connor, give me
Yes,
a
sir.
read of the beam insight.
Go ahead and give me a roll.
Oh.
The ship assists. With a success.
For reason, or you want insight on this one?
Reason.
Reason?
Yeah, reason and science or control and science. Either one is fine.
Oh, reason. My reason is higher than my control by a lot. That is. Would my computer analysis systems apply here?
No.
Okay, so that's only 2.
Okay. 2 plus 1 for the ship, so that's 3. You have 3 questions, or you can save them for momentum. So far, what you detect on the surface is there is a great deal of they're not a great deal. There is motion on the surface. However, you're not detecting it as Laramarian life. At least not in the criteria that they sent you. Other than that, it's a totally breathable atmosphere. Nothing is particularly corrosive. It's warm, and it's probably going to be pretty moist. A planet of 95% water. And the land mass is probably about the size of Dallas. There are several structures, although none of them are particularly large. The largest structure is probably a 2-story house. And this is clearly something they use for non-capable species that are not able to withstand the pressures and the depths that they reside at.
Mm-hmm.
So,
can we get any read on any sort of surveillance isn't the right word. Any emitters that might be able to transport or scramble transporters, create force fields?
There are probably well, okay, so the planet definitely has energy shields. You definitely detect them on both the surface facilities and you can detect them underwater. However, they are inactive at the moment, and they do have energy-based transport. So if they have that, they likely have the means to scramble it as well.
Right.
So, did you want to have that conversation in character?
You have one more question, or you can save it for momentum.
I'd say we just bank it. I can go super paranoid and ask all kinds of questions, but I'd say we just bank it.
Sure.
Yeah. We in the vein of super paranoid, we might need it later.
You might need what?
We might need it later.
Oh, yeah.
Sammy says, might I suggest, sir, with all three of us going to the surface and the potential that if something goes sideways, they could scramble communications with the ship, that we establish a protocol if we haven't returned or touched base within a certain amount of time, a backup team comes down with a runner.
Sure. Yeah, we'll have a backup team on standby.
I'll of course stay here and deal with any issues that may come up in orbit. We have been invited here. I have no reason to be overly paranoid, but if anything does go wrong, this ship cannot survive those weapon platforms.
We'll make sure and use coasters to avoid any disgruntlement.
When you say that, Jack, you get just a brief shudder from Dasavi. With your empathy, you couldn't necessarily pick up what exactly happened, like ran through her head, right? Just a flash of emotion.
I am not a telepath. I am an empath.
Right. So unless you are specifically sharing your emotions, your thoughts with him, no, he does not.
No. But you would definitely pick up a feeling of just a fleeting feeling of fear. That's like it's just a blip and it's gone.
Okay. Captain, would you be amenable to taking a few security personnel, or do you think that would be too forward?
I think that'd be perfectly reasonable. Type 2 phasers, of course. There's no reason to go overboard.
I would agree. We'll, of course, keep an eye on the beam-in sites, be able to pull you back if anything goes wrong, as long as they don't raise those shields.
Excellent. We'll maintain communications contact throughout, and we'll let you know if anything happens.
Do we have any sort of Starfleet dossier on these people?
No.
Okay.
No. The only information that Starfleet has is that there have been some residual scans that, like, some long distance scans from them, but Starfleet has had no real contact with them. So
did they say why they wanted a first contact?
They did not. They just requested an official first contact from Starfleet.
Okay.
They appear to know more about Starfleet than Starfleet knows about them.
Sure. I know Oniet is already going down. Would we want to put Mills down there as well?
That's fine. Out of character, it's fine. I think in character, it's the logical choice.
Yeah. I would be most comfortable if I'm not there for Mills to lead the security detachment. We can keep it with her and two others. I think that's more than enough.
All right. So we've got going down. We've got the captain, not Ambrose, not O'Connor, right?
Correct.
We've got the Savi, and who else? Mills,
Varen. That's it.
Oh yeah, Varen.
Oh yeah, Varen's doing something. I have to remember that she's my character. All right.
I did that on purpose. We haven't seen anything of her.
That's true. I have no idea how I'm going to play her.
I don't think we've actually seen Varen much really at all.
Yeah. You don't get a lot of Vulcan in DS9, so I don't have a lot to work with. just like Andorians, I need to go back and watch some Enterprise.
You get a lot of Vulcans in
Um,
Enterprise, but I don't think they're very good Vulcans.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's Enterprise. Okay. Let me also add, since Dasavi was forthright with her emotional state, Ambrose, Dasavi can pick up that Ambrose is very much biting his tongue and is probably his normal level of suspicious and waiting for something to go wrong. And you can even, and since you are a telepath, you probably get surface thoughts of like, okay, if this happens, we do this. If this happens, we do this. Worst case scenario, I need to warp 9 back to the station and bring a whole fleet over. We got to evade the platforms and yada, 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 yada. It's a mess.
She kind of looks at you and gives you a nod and a smile of weird appreciation, and like, it'll be all right.
All right, Captain. Good luck planet side. I will keep your seat warm.
Thanks, Arnie. All right, let's go beam down.
Hang on. Wait, what? Okay. Apparently I had an M just in the middle of word for no reason. It was confusing me. All right. You are beaming down, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. The transport Tong slides the levers and you guys beam down. The Tong is now in the episode. So
Yep.
As you
bring me back a souvenir.
You just implant that in their heads as they're going down. As you materialize, the first thing you notice is that it is hot. It is very, very hot.
Jorad will pull at his collar and he'll say, "Boy, it's not the heat, it's the humidity."
So Dasavi, you're going to note fairly quickly that this is it is approaching 125, 130 degree temperatures.
Oh, Lord.
And the humidity is like I don't want to say that. It's like Louisiana hot. As far as the humidity goes, like it is just, the bugs are being weighed down by the humidity. It's so hot and humid. There are a lot of creatures moving around. They look similar to Laramarians that you've seen, or the one Laramarian you've seen, but quite a bit smaller. They are clearly either an associated species or something along those lines, but they did not detect on your sensors as within the criteria that the Laramarian gave you.
Okay.
But there are hundreds of them moving around.
Are they also humanoid and bipedal, or are they just kind of like similar structure, but
they are bipedal, and they're just, rather than being they're quite a bit smaller than you. They're like in the 3-foot range.
okay.
But they are bipedal. They look similar to the Laramarian that you've seen.
Do they track
features
as
are not
sentient?
just
Like, can
hard
I
to
read?
say. You
their
can't read
thoughts?
them.
Oh, that's
No.
right. We determined that.
Right. They are silicon based, but they read as a different silicate material.
Because Varen was thinking the same thing. She can't read their mind, but can she observe their social structure, see how they move and communicate amongst each other?
They are. You don't recognize the language directly off, but yes, they appear to be functioning in a way that is organized and leaning towards sentient, if not sentient. Like high functioning drones almost.
Are these the only things down here in front of us?
Whoops, I just fucked that up. My bad. They are the only things you're currently seeing, although a few seconds after you arrive, the the Laramarian that you saw before materializes in a similar fashion to transport. It clearly is some kind of energy transportation.
Sure.
And I broke the Zoom call, so give me a second.
No worries.
I fixed it.
Yay. Okay.
I gotta remember that I can't minimize the Zoom.
Oh.
It messes up the camera layout. But anyway, so yes, it materializes along with 4 others that are in similar construction, I guess. So the Laramarians, now that you can see them, they do wear drapings, but it's not organized clothing like you would expect, like any kind of human would wear. Definitely covers any offensive anatomy because it's still a PG-13 show.
Sure.
Is a family show, not how to make a family show. But what you notice, the biggest difference, as soon as you see these creatures in comparison to the smaller ones, the biggest difference you see is that these almost look smooth and muscular in most of their body. Like they almost look more humanoid, whereas the smaller ones almost look more carved out of rock. So anyway, the one you recognize clearly as Kalisar Alakin.
Greetings, Kelsar. Pleasure to finally see you in the flesh, so to speak. Allow me to introduce my officers. This is Lieutenant Commander DeSavioniat, Specialist Varen, and then he'll introduce the other 2, or the other 3, since we brought security officers.
Right. It is good to meet all of you. Allow me to introduce to you Norstan Villar, Norstan Eliak, and Norstan Grok.
Pleasure to meet you.
These are my... the word I believe you might use is advisors. Welcome to our world.
I must say it's very pretty. It's also extremely hot. Would it trouble you for us to head somewhere with a little shelter?
Of course. And he gestures towards one of the buildings. We also prefer it a great deal cooler than this.
Great minds thinking alike. Lead on.
I'm not sure. How much is 120 degrees Celsius? How much is 120 degrees in Celsius?
That's boiling.
So many. That's all I got for you.
100 degrees Celsius is the boiling point.
No.
120.
120 degrees Fahrenheit in Celsius.
49 degrees Celsius.
49 degrees Celsius. Okay, so yeah.
Which is freaking hot.
It's really hot. Yeah.
Varen's fine though. Varen's like, this is great.
Yeah.
Except she's Vulcan, so she's really like...
Yeah, a little humid, but other than that, like her hair is getting frizzy, which is weird. When you enter into the room, into the building, it is substantially colder. Like you go from 120 degrees outside to about 40 degrees inside. It is about 4 degrees Celsius inside. It's a shock, to say the least. Probably feel pretty good, but almost nauseatingly fast temperature change. And the humidity is practically 0 because it's obviously air conditioned in some way. It's actually appointed quite luxuriously, though. It's given that these creatures are made of essentially types of rocks, silicate. The furnishings inside appear to be plush, even by Federation standards, like luxurious standards. There is also a buffet of food that actually looks palatable to most of you. Like it's various types of sea life. So if you're allergic to shellfish, it's probably not a good place for you to be. However, there's also a table that is full of metals and stones and chunks of material like that.
Rock people food.
Rock people food, exactly. Salt-based food. Again, when you enter the room, there are dozens of those smaller creatures milling about, tending to various obvious needs of the building, like making sure the food is laid out, making sure the seating is comfortable and well positioned, tending to various aquatic containment units, so like aquariums and whatnot.
Can I get a read on how these smaller, simpler creatures react when the Laramarian walks in? Because I'm thinking this is a servant race.
Right. There's definitely a sense of so you just seen it more prevalent outside than inside, because you didn't see them acting before they came in.
Mm-hmm.
But on the outside, you saw them certainly act more lively as the Laramarians approached. They hustled more. They definitely gave the sense that they are a servant caste or whatnot. The Khalasar Alekin captain, we have a great deal to discuss. We are aware of some of your recent troubles that have come about with your Klingon people. I have not encountered them. I do not know. Forgive me if I say their names wrong.
No, you're fine.
We have had encounters with their ships in space. We are not the word we are looking for. We do not look forward to additional meetings with them.
Understandable.
They are a hostile people.
They can be they're very temperamental. They can be great friends when brought to it, but they can also be great enemies without much provocation.
I see. He walks you over to the food table and gestures for you to have anything whatever you want. We have reached out to your federation in hopes of finding a way to remain outside of your conflict. The study that we have given, what studies we have of your people, you discuss, you have principles that keep others out of internal conflicts. But often it appears that lesser races, or at least what you view as lesser races, are brought into your conflicts unwillingly.
I assure you, we have no desire to bring you into anything you don't desire. In fact, I can promise you that we would, should Klingons threaten you in any way, we would be obligated by our good neighborship to intervene on your behalf, but we have no desire to involve you any more than you wish to be.
Our people do not travel much, but when we do, we spend a great deal of time observing. I hope your words are true.
I can only give you my word as a Starfleet captain. So tell me a little about your culture. We have a great curiosity about other races, and we were a bit surprised to see how few of you there were. Most species have quite a bit more, and we're just curious how you're able to manage with such low population.
We are well protected here. We live, by your standards, a very long time. Our species does not breed quickly. He gestures around to the other creatures. We are not as prolific as some. By spending so much time below the surface of the sea and in such proximity to one another, there is very little need for us to hurry about the propagation of our species.
I get it. Sometimes you want some peace and quiet. I can identify with that.
Our people have a fondness, as he gestures to the terrariums and things around the room. We have a fondness for horticulture and landscaping. We do not have much land on our world, as you can imagine. What we have, we like to make, and he gestures to a couple of fairly vibrantly lived terrariums. Like, there's a lot of small frog-like species, several insects, that kind of thing. And then there's also a miniature landscape that appears to be like almost like a canyon and prairie sort of. Think like Wyoming on a super small scale, like on an O scale for trains. If you know anything about train scales, small.
Like a diorama.
Like a diorama, yeah. Clearly sculpted with a great deal of care. This is one of our more iconic pieces on our world.
It's quite lovely.
He reaches over to the table where the food that they eat is, and grabs an apple-sized chunk of what you're guessing is pretty much pure salt, and begins just kind of absorbing it into his hand. Tell me about your people that you've brought with you. What is their world? What are their worlds like? What is your world like? Looking at the Vulcan. He's talking to Hage when he says it, but he looks at the Vulcan and
sure.
And I'm guessing she has the same look on her face as the Vulcan in the picture does, which is just resting disapproval face.
Yep. Vulcan face.
Vulcan face. Not all of you seem to be quite as affected by the heat as others. Tell me about your worlds.
Brian, why don't you tell them about Vulcan?
Vulcan is an old planet, a hot planet. I do not have the exact specifications with me at the moment. Far less moisture. Tell me, is all life on this planet silicone base, or do you have carbon life as well?
Much of the sea life is carbon-based.
That is highly unusual. Did you have these imported at some point, or were they brought in some sort of celestial event?
There was a celestial event many centuries ago. It sank some of the remaining islands, but we have since imported much of it.
Intriguing. You do this for the benefit of hosting other non-silicone life?
Diversity of life. It is what we find joy in. There are great reefs of coral in our ocean. They can host great quantities of life. And as you have observed, we do not have a large population of our own. It is in taking care of these other creatures that we find our purpose.
The Vulcans have a similar philosophy: infinite diversity in infinite combinations.
The philosophy largely of our people, the exemplar of our people, is that the two most powerful warriors are patience and time.
An intriguing concept.
I would be interested in having the geological data of your world, if you would be so willing to share it.
We would
I'm
be able
sure-
to share. Go ahead.
I'm sure an information exchange would be amenable. Yes, Captain?
We would be able to share with the geological data from many worlds. The United Federation contains worlds of all sorts.
Excellent. We would be willing to do the same. We have spent a great many lifetimes of, well, what you consider lifetimes anyways, searching out the geological information of other worlds as well. There are some in this sector that you have recently begun exploring that I think you would find intriguing.
We would, in fact. We'll have I think we can have the information transmitted immediately as a token of our goodwill.
He, for a lack of better term, smiles. It's somewhat, I would imagine it's somewhat off-putting. They don't really have teeth, but they have almost what look like talons in their mouths. Like, you would not want to get bit by one of these.
Sure.
So Ren will pull out her pad and start working on that. Get that information, get the request sent up to the ship, have all the information compiled and ready to beam over. And very eager to learn if they immediately reciprocate.
He looks around. We will be able to provide the information as soon as we are returned to our structures. We do not have the capability in this facility, but
Understandable. As much as we would love to hear more about your planet's geology and the geology of the planets around you, we are more interested in your people and any neighbors you have already met. Would that be information you'd be willing to share as well?
of course, we will provide you with as much information and help as we can within reason.
Excellent.
There are some species in this sector that are best unknown, and best left alone.
Well, we won't push you there. Would you be open to the exchange of diplomats? You sending somebody to the Federation of Planets and us sending a representative to open diplomatic ties with your world?
We will see how this encounter goes. I do not believe your ships have the capability of sustaining our people in any sort of comfort for long periods of time.
Well, the more we know about you, the more likely we'll be able to come up with a solution to a problem like that.
Agreed. At which point he kind of gestures towards an offshoot room, assuming that everyone has eaten somewhat anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Care to join us?
Are there because Vulcans don't eat animals, are there, like, I don't know, sea cucumbers or something?
Oh yeah, there's
snack
all
on?
kinds
Okay.
of plants and sea life and seaweed, and
She's not eating a crab or the like. She's actually fairly off-put if anybody else consumes, a living being.
right. We're not living anymore.
Well,
I get what you mean. Yeah, no, there is a wide variety of pretty much anything you would want. It's entirely too much food for the 4 people you brought, the 6 people you brought, whatever you've got. It would be like if you had brought 30 or 40 people, this is probably the amount of food they would be eating. It is quite wasteful.
Entirely.
I
Nothing. I was just going to say, entirely besides the point. Sea cucumbers are actually living things.
that is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, some plant based.
There are many plant
or whatever.
Things, yes.
If the doctor doesn't, Varen is going to take out a tricorder and scan all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And she's actually going to stop on one of the on the rock people food and see if there's anything that she could actually digest, like cut off if there's like a salt lick or something.
Oh yeah, it's almost everything there is some sort of high salt content rock.
Yeah, so while they're talking, she's going to grab a small little one of those rocks, pull out a small mess kit from her I don't know, somewhere. Take a fork and take a knife and very methodically start sawing away at the corner of this rock.
Okay. Yeah, it's salty. It's magnesium and salt essentially. It's not those two things, but it's largely salt. It's clearly their salt based consumption.
Okay.
Jorad will take a bite of his, and then he'll be like, "My doctor told me to cut down on my salt content, and she's right here." So
he's not wrong.
Understandable. Our food is not for most organics or carbon-based organics, I guess. If you would, and he gestures to another room, we invite you to join us in the salt baths.
That sounds delightful. We can have some swimming suits being done for us.
That is a good point. Are these rock people wearing clothes?
They have
draped
cloth. Right, exactly. They are draped for modesty, but they are not really dressed.
Okay.
Their clothing doesn't appear to be particularly ornamental or anything either. It's pretty basic. It's clearly not.
Is the servant race clothed?
They are not.
Okay.
Yeah. What? Go ahead.
I was just saying, I figure we can skip through us getting changed.
Yeah. You arrive in the essentially saunas. There are these large pools of warm, actually fairly cool, come to think of it, fairly cool water. It's super high salt content, like Dead Sea level salt content. And playing in the background is what you would equate to whale song. It's fairly low and fairly quiet, but it is playing in the background.
Oh, I wish more first contact missions involved jacuzzis. Let's say out loud.
Yeah. As you lower yourself into the 2 or 3 degree cold water, 2 or 3 degrees Celsius water.
I spoke too soon.
Yeah, they clearly like it cold.
Yeah, I don't think Varen's partaking in this. I think she's just going to stand beside whatever these pools are. And
there's a lot to do. Like we can skip through a lot of this. It's just actually it's hot for recreate. I do have written that they enjoy long soaks and high salinity baths, hot for recreation and cold for therapeutic recovery. So these are warm. You are in a salt hot tub now.
Mills and the security team obviously are not partaking in the baths. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much just Hage.
No, Dasavi will get in.
Dasavi, right.
Captain Durad's like, well, when in Rome, do it. So correct me if I'm wrong, but our main mission here is mainly just to exchange information. That seems to be the primary mission of most first contacts: establish diplomatic relations, exchange information. Is there anything else we should be doing on this mission that I'm forgetting?
That's the primary thing. Any subplot things that you want to do on your own, like talking to them about what they know about the Klingons, that kind of thing. That's up to you.
Well, that seems worth asking.
Avoid getting kidnapped. Avoid starting a civil war.
Yeah.
Or getting shrunken down and put in a terrarium.
Right.
Can I do a command check just to try and give a good Starfleet impression?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I'll spend that momentum on this.
I have a whole thing to read you here. In fact, in a minute,
Mm.
give you a nice feedback on them.
Oh no!
Oh no! Fortunately, I didn't range the complication range, so.
Yeah, well, it's 16, so I got 2 successes.
Okay. Yeah, it's they don't seem to be they seem to be slave race uprising. They seem to be getting a decent enough impression. They don't seem to be offended by anything you've done. Everyone has remained, civil and calm, and your needs have been tended to at every often before you knew you had them.
At some point, I'll come up to Ambrose, just give him a situation update. It's perfectly friendly. They're very nice people.
That's good to hear, sir. I'm glad you're enjoying yourself.
Quite. You'll have to come down on the next mission. Enjoy a hot bath.
If things go well, perhaps what is the term?
Shore leave?
Yes, a term of shore leave could be established.
Perhaps. The world isn't particularly hospitable. I'm not sure they could handle many of us, but might be worth asking. How's everything up surface level?
Ship level, probably, not surface level.
Yeah, I was trying to be naval, but
right.
Yeah.
Well, I assume no space whales are trying to mount us. The weapons platforms haven't blown holes in the ship.
Not yet.
Not yet. Cool. We're all still holding together, sir.
Great. Well, excellent. We'll keep at it.
Okay. Comm goes out, and we'll stay with Ambrose for a moment. So far, as we said, pretty much everything is going smoothly up on the ship. Not a whole lot to report. You've been getting scans of the planet. There are the information that Vren has sent back gives you a better read on these servitor class species, and you can scan for them. And once you get a good read on what they are, you see a much more substantial population in the hundreds and hundreds of millions, not quite a billion, but hundreds of millions of these lesser creatures, these not necessarily lesser creatures, but these alternate life forms. They mostly you mostly detect them in much deeper water than what the Laramarians are. Like, there is still city structure there, but it is substantially deeper than where the bulk of the Laramarian people are. So,
do they live in constructed?
Yes.
Okay, so they're not living in like sea caves. They have their own architecture.
Correct. In fact, it's very similar to the Laramarian architecture. It may have been built by the Laramarians, but it is definitely much deeper. It is not nearly like they're not as large. The energy readings aren't as high. It is a distinctive difference between the upper levels of the sea levels, I guess. I'm trying to think what they're called. Tropospheres, where the depths, where the depth pressures change dramatically, like the zones. they live in a much lower zone of light and temperature and everything else, and higher pressure. And it is smaller architecture and less power consumption and all of that. So, even though there are more of them.
Do we get an idea how they work societally? Like, are they second-class citizens or are they non-sentient?
They're likely to be sentient. Like the more time you spend, the more time the captain and Savi and them spend time around them, they're almost clearly sentient. Like they have a level of probably at least human intelligence, maybe a little lower than normal human intelligence, but average, little average voter intelligence. Sorry, it's a funny joke to me, but anyway, yes, they are intelligent almost surely.
Okay, so how do they work societally?
They clearly appear to be some sort of second-class citizen, a servitor class or servitor caste. If you want to approach the Laramarians about it and ask them, they will be happy to. There's a written answer.
Yeah, I'll ask them. So these other beings, do you share your world with them?
We do. We have a what you would call a caste society, based on the depths of each class resides at. It is not a firm structure. It is possible for some to rise to the sun or fall from the light, as it were. It has made those few that we have that have taken travel to the stars and seen other worlds as somewhat legendary amongst the Laramarians. They live among the light, and they're worthy of dream. Laramarian society is caste-based, yes, but the caste is determined by individualism and sheer will. These creatures are, in many ways, us. You see, there's a multi-layered current system on our world. Some believe that based on your destiny, you should let the waters take you wherever they want. And when you settle in where you are meant to be, take what you want, and you will settle in where you are meant to be. Others fight the current, and they strive to reach the next layer and to find a new anchor or stability above a higher in a higher level. It's draining and exhausting work. Alone with the company of your thoughts and the dedication of your conviction to struggle against those gentle but unyielding tides and currents. Those who attempt the journey are celebrated, often regardless of the success or failure. Only a few of us have ever had the strong drive that you call curiosity, especially in the face of such great adversity. But to see the stars with your own receptors is to be truly aware of how much more awaits you. These lesser creatures, these lower caste, they have the ability to become more than they are, and to become true Laramarians, if they simply strive for it.
Has anyone ever succeeded?
It does happen from time to time. It is rare, just as our people, the Laramarians, reaching the stars is rare, but it does happen.
If, on those occasions when one of these smaller creatures reaches that high accolade, do they change physiologically as well?
They are reconstituted. Much like a forged metal. They become more than either piece.
So they are combined with another of their kind.
It is not. It is not that way. It is. they are combined with other things, non-sentient things. They are fulfilled. It is a complex process. I can provide you with additional insight and information if you wish.
Very much so.
As I said, it is a rare occasion. It's often celebrated, even if they remain at the depths. They are celebrated for their achievements.
Well, if one of these ceremonies happens in the near future, we would love to attend.
I am not aware of any coming, but they're often unannounced.
Well, you'll let us know if it is.
Of course.
Out of character, was there anything else we wanted to accomplish here?
On world.
Given the opportunity, Vren is going to ask all kinds of questions that we don't need to play through.
Right. Yes, I assume that there's a great deal more cultural exchange going to be happening.
Yeah.
That's what the North Strands are for, is to break off and to take you into exploring things. And you're obviously invited. You're invited to the cities if you want to go see them, but we'd have to make rolls because I don't know that. I think I created this in such a way that I don't think humans could possibly survive that depth, but we can always find ways to do it. It's Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we've had runabouts down in the depths of gas giants. We can survive down in the ocean.
Yep. 6,000 pounds per square inch. It's a lot.
Much like Vren, Dasavi will be asking similar questions, but on the physiology of the inhabitants.
Sure.
And less on the culture piece.
I do have some stuff on that if you want it. They're immune to most radiations, toxins, gases. They are still susceptible to most corrosives. They can withstand high extremes. They prefer colder temperatures, higher pressures, 60 to 100 atmospheres. Europa actually is capable and is the only Starfleet ship currently capable of accommodating living conditions for these creatures. For any kind of long period. Like other ships can do it, but the Europa actually has the facilities for this kind of encounter.
Sure.
And what facilities are those?
Some of the internal life support systems in the individual living quarters are capable of creating that. If you read the write-up on the Europa, it's designed for a wider variety of species than any other Starfleet ship has been.
Yeah, I think that's true of all the Lunas.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
You said they were susceptible to
corrosives.
Corrosives.
Yeah, like acidic.
Yeah.
You also learn that they do not like they don't like loud noises, and they detest what you people call music.
Mm-hmm.
But they do like the organic ocean sounds, and again, like the soft and soothing sounds of like whale song and that sort of thing.
Happy to send them our entire sound library.
Right. Just get a little AC/DC stuck in there and see what happens.
I think one topic I'd approach with them.
Sure.
Is whether they'd be willing to share their plasma technology with us, since they seem to be more advanced than what we're capable
of. Certainly not going to be willing to share their weapons technology at the moment.
That's fair. I wouldn't push it, but I'd approach it, and
They do ascribe though that they, while they use a lot of geothermal energy under the sea, they also do have plasma energy systems. And the one thing that you haven't seen on their planet or in their atmosphere anywhere around is any space traveling vessels. They are clearly warp level technology. Like they have stuff that is Starfleet level technology, but they don't appear to have any starships. At least you have not seen any starships.
They're homebodies.
Right.
Homebodies who talk about celestial travel.
Yep.
I think at some point Jorad would extend an invitation if he wants to send a crew aboard our ship. If he wants to have them get a taste for the galaxy, we'd be happy to have a passenger on board.
Perhaps one day we will find one who can, or who would be willing to.
Well, let us know. Until then, would you object to us reaching out to Starfleet for a diplomatic representative to come visit you on a long-term basis?
So long as certain rules are adhered to, we would have no problem having longer-term relations.
Excellent. Well, in that case, I think I should get toweled off and maybe we should head back to the ship. I think we've accomplished quite a bit here.
Anyone can view this link. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to, in the Discord chat, I'm going to drop this. This is what you guys get from them. That is the summary of your findings.
Okay. Oh, one last thing. Could we get a rock or something? One of our crew members asked for a souvenir, and I'd hate to disappoint him.
If you see something, it is yours.
Sure, I will look around. He'll go. He'll pick up a rock. This is perfect.
Excellent. You are welcome here, Captain Hage, and your people, for as long as you need. The only advice we have for you going away at the moment, anyways, is hang on, I need to find that sheet.
Oh wait, I see what you did. That crew member will be Tom if you ever get into the game.
That's the race I created for Tom's game. Yeah, for Tom's character. Yeah. Although I write up all of my races like this, so they can be player races if possible.
That's fair. I just meant if somebody joins the ship, it'll probably be Tom.
Yes. There is a race known as the Bishari. We recommend you avoid them whenever possible.
Why?
They make your Klingons look like pacifists. They are one of the many reasons we do not travel the stars like we once had the capability.
Do you know what it is they seek out of the violence?
The challenge.
So they are prone to attacking unprovoked.
They are extremely territorial. They see all things that they can see as theirs.
Well, we would appreciate any data you have on them, so that way we can make sure and stay away from them and keep an eye out for them.
We will provide you what we have.
The Bishari, do they also travel the stars, or do they stick to their homeworld?
They are most assuredly spacefaring.
What are their ships like?
I do not know what you mean.
Is there what kind of ships should we be on the lookout for?
It has been a very long time since the Laramarians encountered them, but they were not too dissimilar to your own, at least in capability.
Let me see.
They are a dangerous people.
We appreciate the warning.
As I said, your people are welcome here, and we have enjoyed our time with you.
Likewise.
We as well. we will make sure and maintain diplomatic contact. We think you could be a valuable ally here in the sector, and I know you want no part in our conflict with the Klingons, and we have no wish to involve you in that. But for peaceful and scientific purposes, I think I think we could be great friends.
We shall see. And we look forward to the opportunity.
We do as well. Farewell.
Peace and long life, Galasar.
Oh, wait. Did I have a saying for that? I think I did. Hang on. I may not have. I might not have written that down. Nope, I did not. He simply tries to return the gesture, but doesn't. His fingers do not make that kind of... flow well with the waters. And then I assume you beam back up?
Mm-hmm.
Ambrose's face is probably quite saddened by the lack of murdering.
I'm shocked that nothing went wrong.
No one did any loud noises. I was kind of thinking there would be a loud noise somewhere. I didn't know where it would come up, but that was
Hage walks onto the bridge, and Ambrose is just like this with his finger on the red alert button. Just come on. I know it's happening. Oh, you're back. All right, fine.
God damn it. I'm glad you're back.
I wanted to shoot the lasers.
Ensign Tom, sadly, the gift shop was closed, but I got you something anyway.
Oh, really? What did you get? What was the planet like? Are they nice people?
They were, indeed.
Great. Awesome. What'd you get?
Sure. They offered us this as a piece in a symbol of our peace. And then he hands him the rock.
Oh, a rock.
It's a peace rock.
A peace rock.
Yes.
It's not one of them, is it?
No.
I don't think so.
Good. It's not going to hatch or anything.
Brought home a baby Lamarian.
I am reasonably certain it will not hatch.
I will treasure it forever. Thank you, Captain.
Of course.
We're 20% sure. All right. Any other scenes you guys want to do?
No. Well, I'll send word to I'll write up a report to Starfleet saying the context of the mission, and suggesting that we reach out to them through the diplomatic corps, for further diplomacy.
Right.
Did they send back? I haven't had a chance to read through your Lamarian species Bible thing. Did they send back all kinds of other planetary information?
Yeah, they will.
Survey information. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it comes through.
Ambrose would like to direct Kostra to begin working on plans for a submersible and perhaps some sort of exosuit. Nothing that needs to be actually fabricated, just plans, blueprints. And do they share any sort of extra information about the Bishari?
Nothing.
Dossier, ship tactical information.
They don't have a lot of that kind of information. Okay. What you gather is largely that the Bishari are like folk legends to the Lamarians.
Okay.
They are essentially space boogeymen to the Lamarians.
Okay. I'd say we have a scene on the bridge, just getting the captain back.
Sure. The captain will bring up his turtleneck again. He said, "Well, that was the most relaxing first contact I think I've ever had."
Speak for yourself.
Glad to hear it, sir.
I'm sorry. Did you say that loud enough that I would hear it?
Yeah.
Okay. I found them perfectly charming. Was there something that rubbed you the wrong way, Dasani?
They were very charming. When you're used to a barrage of voices and emotions, silence is jarring. It kept me on edge.
Well, I guess sometimes you just have to live with your best guess about people, as like the rest of us.
Well, speaking of your best guess, sir, any idea what they want from us?
They seem to, believe they reached out to us in order to make sure that we did not embroil them in any diplomatic or any interstellar conflicts. I think it's perfectly fair for them to reach out to us and let us know to steer clear. So we'll leave this system to them and make sure it stays out of the conflict.
As long as the conflict isn't brought here, we can't promise the security of their planet.
No, but I did advise them that if they did seek our help, we would be happy to provide. So
you probably got the impression that they brought you here to show you the fact that they have the means of defending themselves, and that as kind of a warning, tread lightly,
right,
in the area, kind of thing.
We will take that warning we will take that warning. But in any case, I think that eventually they could become allies of the Federation, and who knows, maybe even members one day.
Not with a caste-based society, sir.
Well, as far as caste-based societies, they did seem to have social mobility, which is a requirement.
It seemed very ornamental isn't quite the word I want.
Ostentatious?
No.
No, not
like
really.
a display.
Yeah.
I'm blanking, totally blanking on the word I want.
Like a
superficial?
facade?
Superficial will do.
Ornamental is a good word.
Yeah.
Well, it might be. We certainly weren't there long enough to make a judgment one way or the other. Who knows if our diplomatic ties improve, they might take we provided them with information about our worlds. They seem curious. Maybe they can see that there's a better way. Make changes in the long run for the better.
Perhaps.
Ours is not to judge, Dasani. Every species does things differently. As long as nobody is, even if they, in this case, the Prime Directive would dictate that we would not interfere. But
no, I'm not suggesting that we do.
I will say I have seen enlightened races that have weirder customs. As long as social mobility is possible between the castes, I think that self-improvement is possible, and that I think that they could serve as part of the Federation just as well. But
time will tell.
Yes, time will tell.
Mm-hmm.
As for now, if we are done here, I would like to get beyond the range of these weapons platforms.
Agreed. Lieutenant, take us out. Aye, Captain.
Would it be entirely against diplomatic relations to scan these weapon platforms?
I think we already did, didn't we?
Did we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
That's how we got the information that they were.
You scanned the system and got the information on the weapons platforms.
Yeah.
You did not scan the platforms themselves.
Right. Yeah.
No, in fact, again, you got you may at least tangentially have the idea that the part of the reason you are brought here is to see these weapons platforms. Like, this is why you were brought here. This is one of the many reasons why you were brought here.
Yeah.
Understand
Ambrose
we
picks
can
up on
defend
that.
ourselves.
Yeah, and Ambrose wants to know everything about that, but
yeah, you can get a scan of that. You don't need to roll. We're not gonna. The momentum won't do you any good anyway. They're dangerous. They're heavily armored. They don't have shields, but they're heavily armored. They look like they would do a great deal of. Their technology appears to have a great deal of energy dissipation. So energy weapons are not super effective against their armor plating. Torpedoes probably would be, but your energy weapons may not be super effective against them. And the range is considerable. They can get you before you can get them. So, I mean, you have warp speed, so that is really largely irrelevant. But, yeah, from a pretty good range, they can attack.
We'll make sure and not piss them off.
Right. And we're not knocking like systems and systems away. they can't get in a render station from here, but yeah, they're potent. They pack a lot of wallop.
But like, would one shot tear through our shields and blow our ship up in one hit? Or
no, they're not that powerful. They're powerful, but they're not that powerful. They're definitely more potent than the majority of weapons that you've come across. But these are also non-mobile platforms, so they're not, they're not flying around space and stuff.
How many of these stations do they have?
In total, you saw about 40.
Okay. Are they scattered throughout the system, or are they just arranged in a security net around the main planet?
Mostly security net around the main planet. There's a few that are out a little farther, but for the most part, it is clearly defensive of the planet. Like, they have some like picket systems, I guess, is what you would call them, a little farther out. But
sure.
Could we have taken any time to scan the waters and see if they had any submerged ships? Because Ambrose noted there were none in orbit. My guess is they have launch sites underwater.
Yeah, give me a roll for that one. I'll have O'Connor do it since she's the science officer that was aboard ship. So go ahead and give me that roll. Your difficulty is going to be 4.
Oh, that's a lot.
Largely because of the depth and composition of the planet, depth of the waters and composition of the planet.
We have complaints if I spend our only momentum.
Go for it.
Okay. I roll 3 of these.
And the ship will also roll.
Maybe I roll 3 of these. Apparently, I'm not going to roll any of these. What are we doing?
You get 2 from the ship.
Nice.
All right. Well, we're just going to do that.
Europa's good at scanning stuff.
Roll one on my own because I didn't want to. So that is 2. So that's enough, right? You said 4?
That's 4. Yes, there are large, for lack of a better term, ship installations. The ships that you detect are very, very large. On scale with the RN, not quite that big. The RN were the space whales. They're not quite that big, but they're larger than your ships.
So, like,
about
compared to
scale
a
6.
Galaxy class.
They're a little bigger than a Galaxy.
Okay.
They're scale 6. I think a Galaxy's 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're scale 6 ships, so they're big. They're not powered on, so you're not really detecting any weaponry or anything like that on them, and you're certain they have them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they seemed reluctant to go into space. They seem to deem it a rare occasion.
Yeah. There's only a couple of those ships. The whole planet, you probably only detected about 4 of them.
Okay.
Who knows how old they are?
Yeah.
I promise this is my last question. Given the size of the weapons platforms, could they mount a similar weapon to one of these starships?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's all I need to know.
Yep.
Yeah, Ambrose is like, he is going to have a full tactical dossier on this species on Hage's desk soon.
Sure.
Hage
22.
Hage will not be surprised.
Yeah. Do we have any other things we want to cover?
Yeah, I kind of have one. This is something I was kind of planning for a little while. I think it might be fun. Hage will invite Ambrose and Nasavi to Holodeck 4. He will strictly word it as an invitation, not an order.
Okay. I think holodecks are the one thing I don't have an image for because we all know what holodecks look like.
Yeah, gaffer's tape across the walls. So, do they both come?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good.
with some trepidation.
Yeah.
When you get there, the archway opens into like a porch, and you can see this beautiful, beautiful lake surrounded by mountains in the distance. And you are in a small lake house that is on the edge of a mountain lake on an alien world. You can see 3 moons up in the sky. It's Earth-like, but not Earth. And Hage is there, and he's wearing he's in civilian clothes, and he's got a blue blazer on, and he says, "Welcome to my retirement. It's beautiful, isn't it?"
It is very nice.
I got the real one back on Trill. I've been coming here on my off hours to just relax a little. And I had an idea I wanted to run by you. I created a hollow version of a ship that I've been trying to work up. It's a lake skimmer, Trill catamaran design. Going to be fast when it's finally done, but it needs a lot of work. I thought maybe we could work on it together. Get a feel for working together on a new project, and that might help us with our duties. I'm not going to force anybody. You know, this is my recreational activity. But I think the two of you might enjoy it, and we could learn a bit about each other as we're doing it.
Be nice to have a project that isn't so high stakes.
Wouldn't this be something more in Kostra's expertise?
It's not about expertise, it's about enjoyment. It's about working with your hands for a little. There's no warp core on this, just a sail. I want to work on it with you. I like you, Arani, and I want to spend a little time with you outside of the captain's chair.
You hear in your head, take the olive branch.
Light it on fire and throw it at his feet.
You just get a mental sigh back. I can't say I've spent much time on Trill.
Glad to hear that. We'll just put a couple hours in a week. Nothing serious. Why don't you? There's my toolbox. Do you know anything about sailing ships? And then he'll start talking about like naval terminology and that kind of thing. We don't have to go into detail. I just set it up.
I imagine Ambrose probably does know a lot about naval history.
Military naval history, probably. I mean, it's been centuries since we've had Navy ships.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, he might have models of ancient battleships or whatnot, but
I did allude in the intro today that there's at least one Federation old world ship, one on Earth that the cadets were on, but it's probably not, hardcore Navy. It might be the Constitution for all we know. But there is at least some naval vessels still around. It isn't the military Navy anymore, clearly. Yeah. Earth doesn't need one of those much anymore.
Honestly, this is very similar to the Generations with the Enterprise.
Yep. Picard had a thing for
Yeah.
that. So
This could be something they connect over. Like,
Maybe.
you know, I don't think he knows any idea who Nelson is, but like
Right.
some of these stuff are true on any world.
Right. I think that's actually a good place to leave it too. The three of you starting to work on
I think that's a really good end for this episode.
little catamaran thing.
Starting, tragedy and horror and everybody dead, and end in this beautiful, heartwarming scene
Right. See?
where the
we
captain actually said, "I like you, Arani."
Yeah.
Look at that.
We had progression. We just missed the central conflict entirely. So it's all right. It's all right. That's my bad though.
So
on
there
that
was supposed
note,
to be a conflict?
what's that?
But we missed the central conflict?
Really, it was my fault for not preparing the central conflict better for you guys. The stuff with the caste system and some other stuff that I was going to do with the Larmarians, to create a little bit more just
Tension?
cultural differences kind of thing.
Mhm.
It wasn't like a central conflict like we're going to shoot phasers at each other, but more of an ethical conundrum, which again we that's my fault for not preparing it better. So on that note, let's go ahead and do a quick wrap up. It is getting late for me, so let's power through these. What moment stands out most to you guys this evening?
I mean, that cold open, man, I was so confused and like, what the hell
yeah.
is going? Oh no, I got it.
Was not prepared for that. All of that hesitation and confusion and horror in the beginning was very genuine.
That's why I didn't tell you about it, is I wanted to shock you a little bit. I was
No,
telling Brian
I like
earlier that I told him what was going to go. That I didn't give him the details, but I told him that when it's over that he'd have a chance to come in and talk to you. But I didn't want to give you a warning because I wanted the shock and
Yeah. No, I dig it.
I wanted to feel real.
I'm with
Yeah,
you.
So,
came out genuine. Yeah,
It was-
I liked it.
It was real.
anyone else got a moment, or is that good for everybody?
I loved a lot of the moments we had. I thought like our senior officers really connected a couple times this session. I don't know. I really liked. I liked both the conversation in the war room and the boat conversation.
Yeah, I'm gonna need. I'm gonna need to get back into the flow of my characters.
Yeah,
because it's been too long since I've
Several
had
weeks.
consistent character development thoughts in my head.
sure.
So not only was, I mean, I just wasn't as engaged with my characters tonight
Sure.
as I have been in the previous episodes and as I would like to be.
I think some of that too is playing characters that you have not played much of either. Like you played Vren and Shajin, who are two characters you have the least amount of time into so far. So
You played Vren beautifully though. I really liked Vren. It was very professional, but it was.
I mean,
You got an idea of who she was.
Yeah.
So who best embodied their character tonight?
I mean, Brian drops into Hage just like that all the
Right.
time. So
Sure.
True.
I need to warm up, but
I spent the day playing Red Dead Redemption 2, so I got all into Ambrose. Just out there shooting people. What role-playing moment best exemplifies another person's character to you? For example, like I liked I liked Dasavi also getting into the questioning about the culture and the cultural exchange ideas and things like that. And Dasavi getting into the anatomy of these people.
What the hell are you people made of?
Yeah.
Why can't I read you? Which is really what she's driving at. Like
Mhm.
she's all there for the xenobiology, but like her main drive under that is why can't I read you, and I'm gonna figure it out.
Mm.
I think for me, that end scene with Hage just like really trying to bring his people together and thinking outside the box, and bringing that informal piece into it.
Yeah. When other things haven't worked particularly well, let's try something new.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I agree. We could probably skip that one and that one. Probably skip that one too. What did you see from another player or character that you'd like to see more of in the future? There wasn't really a lot of good idea, bad idea stuff, and motivations in the scene. This
Yeah,
episode didn't
not
really
really.
matter. So, what did you see from another player or character that you'd like to see more of in the future?
I would love to see more Koba and Mills. I thought they had an interesting dynamic.
Mhm.
I would like to see more of that with Shijin and Shijin interacting with other crewmen.
Yeah, I would love to see Jajin come out of her shell.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
feels very
I agree.
bubble.
I feel like some of that. To me, that felt really like just Shijin is being defensive about like. I don't know what the character's background.
Well, if you want the headspace, Shijin is on a human ship and she's Andorian, and she knows they are on a cold world, but Andorians are hot-blooded.
Right.
If she loosens up, somebody's going to get punched in the face and somebody else is going to get straddled. The Andorians have to keep a cool head on a human ship.
Yeah.
Right.
I
I was
want
reading
to have, there was an opportunity in the conversation today, and I missed it until it was too late. But I want to have a conversation with Shijin and Mills, because Mills has a specialty in hand-to-hand, and she is just, there are 2 Andorians on the ship, and she just really wants to go toe-to-toe with one of them, and it's a little inappropriate to ask Cass, hey, would you fight me? But she would be comfortable with Shijin, like, hey, teach me some shit.
That'd be great. I want to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be fun.
Yeah.
I got the impression my read on the character, and again, I'm just audience in that scene, but is that she's very much like superior, what we like to call a smug son bitch. So I'm looking forward to seeing more
So
of
an
that character.
Andorian.
Yeah, Andorian, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing more. I've never had players really play Andorians in my games, so it's interesting to see how you and John are playing them, the similarities and the differences that you guys were portraying. So, if you could change one thing about the session, what would it be, other than me getting the central conflict right?
Yeah.
Being a little more in character, but that's 6 weeks,
Yeah,
8 weeks since
it's been 6,
I don't
right?
know, something like that.
Yeah.
May 4th was the last time we played, so about 6 weeks since we actually played.
Yeah.
I mean, I think for myself, just because it's been so long, having some heads up onto what may happen, what characters may come up. So I could have been like, oh, we're gonna do stuff with Shijin and Varen. Maybe I should go watch some Enterprise and figure out, remind myself what Andorians and Vulcans are like. Have a discussion about where Ambrose's headspace was at, because I really don't know where Ambrose is at the moment, because I had this whole like arc plan for his recovery, and at the end of the last episode we just kind of shoehorned in, oh, you're all better now, here, have your badge back, get back to work.
Less that you're all better, more like here, you're putting this on because there's a war going on.
Right. Yeah, like oh you were right, he shit.
Yeah,
please get back to work, we're in trouble.
Right. Yeah. I would
but
like
not
to
immediately in trouble, because we ended last episode like just at the end. Like I forgot we weren't in the middle of battle. I thought we were going to jump back in, we were going to start shooting lasers, but yeah, it's like, welcome back, Hage, get back to work, we need you, and then we're flying around meeting rock people and taking baths together or something.
Yeah.
I tried to do stuff like that with the war room scene, and like I tried to like make it seem like we did need you, even if we're not fighting somebody right now.
Yeah,
we need Ambrose's expertise in like war stuff.
Originally, I had intended to jump back into an actual combat, but I decided not to do it because I figured we wanted to get. Again, we'd been off for so long, I didn't want to jump back into just a straight up conflict because that's going to be even harder to get your back into your headspaces. So that's why I didn't do it that way.
Yeah, I was hoping we could take the time to explore who Ambrose is outside of just survival and just military and just war, because I don't know if Ambrose has any hobbies for Hage to connect with, because he's just been dedicated 100% to the preservation of his life and the preservation of the Federation for the last
So
20 years.
Right.
is
I
that
think that's good stuff to be able to bring up in future sessions too. Like that's the kind of stuff
Yeah.
that I think is
Good for the counseling sessions.
not just that, but it's
We don't
it's
have a
good-
counselor anymore.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
only problem is we don't have.
I can't talk to myself.
I mean,
Right.
if we need me to play a counselor until John gets back, I can write up a counselor. I just don't want to be I don't want to be a therapist in my real life and a counselor
therapist.
in my game.
Sure.
Right.
However, for a few more weeks, I can fill that role.
There's also other options we can get into. But yeah, I think the idea of exploring more of Ambrose's other side, and I think being able to see Hage and the crew in Ambrose's element a little bit more is going to be essential to that arc.
Is there anything we can do as fellow players to like bring those kind of scenes out and bring that kind of development out in Ambrose?
I mean, I don't want to harp on it too much because I feel like I've been harping on it too much, but just consistently gaming week to week to week
Right.
will help me develop the character, stay in the headspace, remember the important beats, because so much of Ambrose's character is dedicated to his psychological state right now. And when I'm angry and frustrated that we're missing games week after week after week after week, and I have other things going on in my life, and I show up to the game frustrated and angry, and all I can think about is Ambrose isn't connecting on a personal level. He's not being jovial. We haven't had the Ambrose that we had in the beginning of this series on DS9. I feel like is a drastically different Ambrose than what he's been, and I'd really like to reel him back. But I feel like I've driven him into a wall that is just sort of negativity, and people aren't listening to him. He's not in his element anymore. I don't know what I'm expecting, and I don't know how to get to where I'm expecting to be. I just know I don't necessarily like where he's at.
Right.
Would a big hero moment for him help? Like something where he
probably he really hasn't had a chance to stand out. I mean, the one big conflict we had, he spent on his ass the entire time.
Okay, well then maybe we can make sure that happens during the fight scene coming up. Like if we're doing a battle scene, we could definitely give him a chance to really show who he is.
Right. There's also another option for it, and I'm not sure it's a good option, but there's always the option of hitting that breaking point for the character where he realizes that he's gone too far and that
that was supposed to be breaking Koba's arm. That was the breaking point, and that was supposed to lead into this whole recovery redemption arc.
Right.
It just kind of stalled.
Sidetracked on it.
Yeah. Well, there's still ways, like I said, there's still ways to explore that even with what's going on. Like, we'll just have to figure out how we want to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
As far as consistency of play, the hope is shortly we will be able to get back to a more consistent schedule. Again, the shop is not reopened yet, but it's getting closer. We moved in all the hardware and stuff the other day, last Saturday. So we are getting a lot closer with the shop, and that's the biggest time sink that I have at the moment. So, and unfortunately, there's not much I can do to make that go faster. On that note, though, I think we can go ahead and wrap up the Twitch stream, and then we'll meet back here in a few minutes for the wrap up stuff, or the rescheduling and closing out stuff. So,
Sounds good.